Good morning, everyone. Uh, what a fantastic day to start listening everybody, and it's really reminding me that what a great commitment coming from everybody in the room. I just want to say, when I was in my childhood, that point of time, we have ad coming on the television that was about Malaysia, and that is my childhood memory. I just want to say that's the ad of the tourism Malaysia truly Asia. So I'm just honored to be here in this country. So my name is Sachin, and I'm very delighted to welcome all of you for the Stories of Innovation session that is about early childhood development, family strengthening, and inclusive social protection. I represent one of the organizing uh, organization that is Hope and Homes for the Children, which is organizing member of BICON 2025. And I moderate this session, one that truly sets belief in the very heart of the care reform. Today we are going to listen some of the very extraordinary stories, hope and transformation from across countries. Stories that reminds us that change is not just possible, but change is already happening. These are the stories of families rebuilt, children nurtured, and communities are coming together. All proving that when we believe in families and we create lasting change in the children's life. I promise I'm not going to take much of my time because the voices you are going to hear today in next session is far more powerful than mine. So let us begin the journey of inspiration. And I would like to invite the first speaker, that Mr. Raju, who is the Deputy Director Program from the Voice of Children, Nepal. Raju brings 2 decades of experiences in child right and protection. He leads numerous initiatives on family reintegration, alternative care, and safeguarding. His work spans across Asia, Africa, Europe, shaping practices and policy that put children where they belong in families. Today, Raju will be sharing one moving story from Nepal that highlight how family strengthening is changing life and giving children a true sense of belonging. May I invite Mr. Raju to please come on the stage. Now I am honored to invite our second speaker, Mr. Siti Rahma from Muhammadiya, Indonesia. Siti is also served as a Voice Secretary for Council of Social Welfare, one of the Indonesia's largest organization. She has over 20 years of experience in social welfare and public health, and having led bilateral initiative in Indonesia. She will be reflecting the spirit of early childhood development and how nurturing young children can early transform communities and build resilience for the lifetime. Please welcome Siti. Now, I invite third speaker, Ms. Juanita, who is the Chief of Social Policy, UNICEF Malaysia. She is a national of Colombia. She holds PhD in development economics and has been a driving force from advancing child rights across Asia, and from Pakistan to Myanmar, and now here in Malaysia. Today, she will be reflecting how inclusive care reform can prevent family separation and ensure that every child grow up safe, loved, and protected. So these are three wonderful people. They are going to reflect on three different stories. And now I'm handing over to Raju to share his story, that how his in country Nepal, the things are really, really working extraordinary for children. You want to come?
Namaskar, good morning. I am Raju Ghimire, working in Voice of Children as a Deputy Director. And Voice of Children is a member of Family for Every Child Global Alliances. Dear all, this is very important event regarding the child protection initiatives, especially focusing on family care system. Voice of Children works with the children who are separated from the family, living in different circumstances. We all know that family is important place for the children. If we think about the children, definitely we rethink about the family. We always, every people we know, family are the best place, an important place for the children. So Voice of Children, we have worked with the children who are separated, especially street situation, working in different labor situation, and who are living in a most vulnerable situation, separated from the family. So we have, I think PPT. So we started to work with the family with the idea of children. At the beginning, before 25 years ago, we worked with the children, but they wanted to see their family and to meet the family, and that's why the idea came from the children, and we started to work. And Voice of Children has developed one initiative called Ladder Approach, working with the children from outreach to family. So at that time, children wanted to see their family. That's why we used to call ladder approach. We started to work with the family, and children wanted to see. So we used to call family tracing and family identification at first. And after that, after identification of the family, we started to regular visit to the family to build their relationship, and started to identify the issue in the family, what are, leading to leave or separate the family and children. So we started to, or we used to identify the problem of the family and child with their participation. And after that, we have, when we identify the problem, after that we work with the children and family separately. One team work with the children, another team work with the family. So children and family are okay, we can live together. At that time, children and family live together, and there is a different model of the reintegration. One is we used to call reintegration in biological parents, and if the biological parents are not able to keep the children, we work with the kinship family, and if the kinship family is not suitable or not available, at that time we work with the foster family. So this is our model to reintegrate the children with the, family strengthening model. So here is one story of kinship family. That is way how we work with the kinship family through the family strengthening model. Please, I request to play the video.
Sunil grew up in a rural Nepal, the youngest of 5 children. Later on, he became a voice for children without parental care. At just 18 months, tragedy struck. His father was murdered. His mother's mental health collapsed, leaving her unable to care for the family. With 2 sisters already married, Sunil and his brother survived on the streets, begging to feed their mother and elder sister. By age 10, he lost his mother too. Sunil had never been to school till then. His life on the streets brought abuse, exploitation, and rejection from adults and police. Then came a turning point. Voice of Children rescued him, and he got a protective and friendly environment to develop his life skills. Voice of Children connected with his kinship family and prepared them for Sunil's reintegration. After a year in the organization's drop-in center and socialization center, he was reunited with his married sister and brother-in-law as kinship care. He was admitted to school, though he sometimes slipped back to street life. His sister was trained in sewing by Voice of Children for income generation. Sunil also got training on child rights and protection, gained psychosocial counseling support, and received education and career training. Sunil began to see a future beyond the street. He studied up to grade 12 and became a professional painter. Today, he is a member in the Youth Advisory Committee of Voice of Children and leads a child club to help children like him. I became sustainable through the support of Voice of Children and my kinship family, he says. Family's love makes every child brave and confident.
Thank you. I pass to my mic to my colleague.
Hi everyone, it's an honor and grateful to be here. This is actually my first BICON conference, so I would like to learn a lot from everyone here. For this session, I would like to share about Muhammadiya experience, especially in early childhood development, how Muhammadiya work to engage with multi-stakeholders. I have a video, so hopefully we have enough time. A life begins at Muhammadiya Children's Center, a story of hope, compassion, and a second chance. At 3 a.m., deep into the quiet hours of Ramadan, a chill hung in the air, softened by the gentle rhythm of falling rain. A faint cry pierced the silence, a newborn's voice drifting from the front door. Astaghfirullah, oh my God, who left this baby here like this? A tiny newborn baby had been left inside a basket. The baby was covered with a thin fabric and cried louder and louder. Bupanti held her tightly and brought her inside, smiling gently. It's a baby girl. Let's call her Hana. Bupanti went inside and cleaned Hana thoroughly. Ria, can you call Buyati, the midwife, to come over and check on Hana? Yes, of course, Bupanti. Within half an hour, Buyati arrived and examined Hana. Alhamdulillah, praise be to God, Hana is in good condition. This is just one of many stories from MCC Newborn and Toddler that locate in West Java, Indonesia. How can a child like Hana have her right to learn and grow during her golden age? How will Bupanti ensure Hana and other children's welfare? How can Bupanti obtain the resources? Bupanti is the head of MCC, which is part of the Muhammadiyah network. Established in 1912, Muhammadiyah is Indonesia's largest modern Islamic organization integrating faith with social services, education, health, and economic empowerment. Muhammadiyah has 23,000 early childhood centers, 5,300 schools, 615 social welfare centers, 444 boarding schools, 457 hospitals, and 162 higher education facilities. This is the activity room inside MCC, where toddlers interact and play. In this room, Hannah learns colors, identifies objects, and builds her motor skill. Caretakers like Ria and Alia sometimes take the children to a nearby park to play. Bupanti ensures that by the age of 4 or 5, children have access to kindergarten. We work together with Aisyah Kindergarten, known as TK Aba. After a year of searching and mediation, Parobi finally helped Hannah's mother prepare to reunite with her.
Bupanti, let me introduce you to Hannah's mother. Ade wants to bring Hannah home and take care of her.
Assalamualaikum, I'm Ade. Waalaikumsalam, I'm Bupanti. Abandoned at birth, Hannah arrived at MCC with an uncertain future. The MCC team ensures she receives basic health care, warmth, nutrition, and emotional safety. MCC is committed to supporting children's return to a family environment, gradually shifting its role from providing long-term institutional care to facilitating family-based care, whether through reunification with biological parents, placement with relative or kinship, or integration into foster family. Hannah's case illustrates how ecosystem development and multi-stakeholder collaboration have contributed to enhancing children's welfare. The picture shows stakeholders' relation and the ecosystem. Muhammadiya, as umbrella institution for MCC, provide resources, guidance, legal institution, advocacy to government, services monitoring, and capacity strengthening. Muhammadiyah Children's Center providing shelter and day-to-day care. Local government as institutional licensing authority, policy, child welfare fund and budget, social protection, health protection, and capacity strengthening. TK Aba Aisyah as kindergarten that provide formal education. Lazismu Muhammadiyah fundraising and funding distribution agency. Local community as individual philanthropy, volunteerism, and monitoring. Muhammadiyah Higher Education provide volunteerism and capacity strengthening. Every child deserves a beginning filled with love, not label, not loneliness, not lost opportunity, whether through family reunification, alternative care, or inclusive community support. Our goal is the same, to help every child feel safe, go strong, and know they belong. Because in those early years, what we invest not just in food or shelter, but in connection and care, shapes not only their future, but ours as a society. Not all children in MCC have access to government program. Advocating for a government system that guarantees every child's right to education and healthcare is essential. Consistent advocacy to both national and local government is needed. Strong collaboration between government and civil society is vital to building a sustainable support system that meets the diverse needs of children, as well as strengthen the capacity of caregiver at the center. Every child has the right to grow up with hope, dignity, and the love of a family. Together, we can help make that future possible. Thank you.
Thank you. A change mindset from social welfare charity, whereas Muhammadiyah start, because this is quite like an old organization. We have hundreds of children's centers. It's still challenging for us. One thing that we try to do, because we are a structured organization, we revise our guidelines on how we can shifting our mindset. That we not institutionalize children, but how we can connect all these children back into the family environment. And collective partnership, it's very important. We have here from the previous session how multi-stakeholder can work and collaborate, and engaging local community, it's also important because they're the one who are around the children. Working locally, it's not only working locally in terms of governments, but also our real local community. And strengthened sharing a forum, I think at the local level, sharing forums amongst our social worker and caretaker is also important. That we can do at the local level, how working together with our local government. What we're facing in the Muhammadian Children Center, as the example in the video, many of children was also transferred into our care. Not only, some of them is human trafficking babies. This is when the government sending all these children, and then we have to working that all together where we can return this baby back into their closer family. Sometimes it's not closer to the area, it can be in different province. So it took like a lot of medication, and we're also working with the police security for some cases like that. A lot of stakeholders that we have to engage, and then we have to take care for our children's future. Maybe that's from me.
Can you pass this?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm really honored to be presenting here. And while I don't have a story to tell, what I want to bring to the table today is a reflection on not the only one, but one of the ways that can lead to preventing family separation. So let me talk a little bit about social protection and what we're doing here in Malaysia. So what is social protection? So we can think of social protection as something with three different pillars. It refers to a set of policies and programs that aim to reduce poverty, vulnerability, and social exclusion throughout people's lives. And it can take the form of social assistance, and here you can think about cash grants, child benefits, even school meals. It can also take the shape of social insurance, such as health insurance, and in many cases unemployment, and this much more heavily for people who are under formal employment. An active labor market policy supporting access to work and employment. But here, the key aspect, and what we try to bring from the UNICEF perspective, is how to keep social protection with children in mind. And here the reason is, and why we want to keep children in the center, is because throughout the life cycle, childhood is one of the periods of biggest vulnerability, and especially when there's shocks that affect families and hit families, children are usually the first to be affected. What do these shocks look like in many cases? It could be sometimes illness or death of the breadwinner. And in those cases where the breadwinner is uninsured, there's no employment benefits, the families in many cases might fall into poverty. It could also, when there is social protection, families can stay above this minimum floor. Without social protection, they might fall into poverty. It can also look like pregnancy and the absence of maternal benefits, in many cases leading women also to exit the workforce, losing an important income for the family. It can also look like climate shocks, which are more and more common in our region and across the globe, leading to the destruction of infrastructure and livelihoods of people. Social protection and how UNICEF sees social protection is across the life cycle, and it recognizes the vulnerabilities that are inherent across the life cycle. Children and youth require very specific support. But then also later on, as you enter the labor force, as you become old, and etc. So if you think of you can think of a life cycle model to design social protection. And one thing that we know is that globally and also in Malaysia, poverty rates are much higher among families with children. So if you already think that families with children are much more exposed to poverty, having a social protection response that thinks of families and puts families and as primary beneficiaries can go a long way. And we do know that economic hardship is a major driver of family separation. either through poverty, through economic shocks that are not insured, such as unemployment or the climate shocks that we mentioned, and in many cases, the lack of access to services. And when we put all these together, you know, and there's no access and no mixture of policies that respond to these, then family separation is much more likely, or the likelihood is increased. So what does the evidence tell us, and why do we place such importance in our programs and support in the work we do in social protection? We have seen globally that cash transfers reduce the risk of family separation with positive impacts on family preservation and child well-being. There's examples from Kenya, from Zambia. We also know that cash transfers targeted to children and families with children have been shown to improve food security, health, and education outcomes for children. In many cases, stress levels that are also among parents that could in particular also lead to a more violent environment at home. And cash plus approaches, when we think of cash plus, we think about cash and services. And these could take very different forms. It could take the form of childcare services, it could take the form of parenting, it could take the form of health or nutrition. Make the use of the cash and this cash much more effective. I know I'm running out of time, so I'll leave a few examples. The region also has very strong programs with proven impacts, including Mongolia that has an almost universal child benefit, Nepal with a child benefit that is really focused on those that need it most, the Philippines, a huge program that has been proven to improve education and health outcomes, as well as conditional cash transfer in Indonesia, also known as PKH. And what are we supporting in Malaysia? Of course, the government in Malaysia has been investing solidly in social protection, has also been increasing the coverage of social protection systems, and is now also working on the social protection reform. What we do from UNICEF Malaysia point of view is keep the child in the center of that agenda. And try to provide examples and models of how this can be designed the best way possible for children and for a biggest impact on children, with also keeping cost and the cost of delivering services the lowest for efficiency. So on the one hand, we've tracked the situation of families and children in low-cost housing in Kuala Lumpur, and through that leverage and advocated for a cash plus pilot in the PPR flat. So right now we are supporting DBKL or Kuala Lumpur in providing 150 ringgit per month per child in integrated with nutrition, and this money coming from the Ministry of Finance as a result of our advocacy on how poverty among these households was leading families on cutting down food, children going hungry, not being able to meet basic needs, and experiencing very high stress levels. We're also supporting the integration of parenting services into existing social protection and cash transfer programs in Sarawak. And we're also estimating the cost of raising a child with disabilities, answering key questions around how much are households spending, are they accessing what they need, and what is out of reach but required. And we hope that when we bring all of these pieces together, and I'll stop here. The rest of the slides just give a bit more detail, and I think you will have access to the slides. When we bring all these pieces together, we hope to provide a more solid approach to prevent family separation for those children who experience poverty or vulnerable to falling into poverty in Malaysia. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Juanita, for this insightful and inspiring strategy that is showing that how inclusive social protection can help family and children. And also, I would like to thank Raju and Sita for bringing us closer to the heart of the issue through their stories. Now, with all these experiences coming together, I'm truly delighted to welcome Ruma Magar, who is a representative of the BICON Care Experienced Reference Group, and also the co-founder of Shine Together Experience Network Nepal. Ruma is a caregiver who has spent 11 years in institutional care. Today, she is the program coordinator of Sacha Dhago, advocate for the care reform and lead initiative on mental health, family reintegration, and youth empowerment. She is going to share her reflection on early childhood development, family strengthening, and inclusive social protection, and help us to imagine what might have happened if those support systems would not have been there. So please welcome Ruma to the desk. Yeah.
Thank you, Sachin, sir. Namaste and good morning, everyone. Thank you to the speaker from Malaysia, Indonesia, and Nepal. When families do not get support in time, whether it's financial, emotional, or social, it's the children and young people who suffer the most. Whether it's poverty or sometimes it's crisis. But the result is the same. Children lose their homes, their communities, and most importantly, their identities. The most vulnerable children are the ones who end up separated. I have seen children with and without disabilities placed in orphanages, not because they were orphaned, but because their families could not afford education, food, rent, and there are multiple reasons behind it. And once a child enters care, coming back and reconnecting back to families and community is not easy. As we are still healing through all the gaps, still figuring out who we are and navigating our life all alone. And without guidance, many care experience struggled with emotional well-being, unemployment, identity crisis, and isolations. For those of us who have lived in care, the challenges does not end when we leave care. Without proper aftercare services, we are expected to survive on our own. They make laws to place the vulnerable child in care, but forget to think those who get out of the care. This is the biggest gap in our system. The early life, which means childhood is the beginning of everything, and it's crucial for every individual to grow as an adult. Early childhood serves and contribute to the building foundation for healthy, functioning, and thriving families and communities. We only live once, and we want to truly experience what it means to live freely, where small struggle does not turn into battlefield for the survival. That's why appropriate care and support are essential for everyone, especially for those with lived experiences and children in care. Like this sister said this morning, we want to celebrate each other and co-create solutions that last. In this scenario of care experienced, children and young people will still need efficient laws, policies, and systems in the country. And above all, there are structural barriers as well as emotional and mental health challenges they go through, and that need to be addressed as well. And when it comes to individual safety, it should not be normalized, but must be taken under careful considerations and prioritized. And we have to understand the consequences go beyond family and home. Without intervention, experienced individuals and their families are likely to face complex and overlapping challenges that include high risks of social exclusion, education gap, economic hardship, and mental health that can last lifetime. Without support and intervention, the effect will further develop and follow when we become an adult. And this is long-term impact. We all know the impact and have felt it and seen it, and we are still dealing with it. Which is why early and consistent right support is significant to break those cycles and enable us to thrive, and this benefit ripples across generations. That's why intervention matters, not for just emergencies, but for prevention, for building resilience, for building a safer community, for giving families the tools and the dignity to raise their children in safe, loving, and nurturing environment. So what can we do is, I would like to state 3 points that we can do for the care experience and children in care. First, we need to make sure care experienced youth be part of the conversation, not just as during event like this, not just as stories, but as a decision maker. Second, education, health, counseling, and job support must be available to every caregiver or care experienced. Aftercare should be right, not just a favor. And lastly, and third, families need continued support until they are capable, income generation, parenting guidance, and emotional care, so children does not have to choose between family and education in the first place. Thank you, everyone, and namaste, and enjoy your lunch.
Thank you, Ruma. Thanks for your words, and that remind us why we do and what we do. Your journey embodies encouragement, resilience, and power of change when family and system come together to support children. Now, I invite Suane, who is the Child Protection Specialist, UNICEF Malaysia, to join us. And we are opening for question and answer. I just want to request that we won't have much time so that we can accommodate all the questions from your side, but kindly request your questions should be focused on the issue, and we are avoiding the personal questions to the panel member. You can raise your hand if you want to ask question, and volunteer will be coming over to you to hand over the mic to you.
Hello, hi. Thank you so much, panelists. I'm Tulasi with Protect and Save the Children, also representing Child Rights Coalition Malaysia and ACPAD Malaysia. I've got 2 questions. One is to Ms. Siti. Could you please share with us the details of the interventions taken prior to reuniting children with their parents or caregivers, especially when they're abandoned or harmed by their parents or caregivers? Secondly, what are some of the safe gatekeeping mechanisms to stop family separation? And then to Raju, thank you, Raju. Please share the mechanisms used to strengthen kinship care in Nepal, and how do you sustain the kinship care? Also, what were some of the advocacy efforts undertaken with the government of Nepal to improve kinship care? Thank you.
Siti would like to go first. Okay, fine. Yeah.
Oops, thanks. So, and how these children are coming to those centers? Just wanted to add this as well. Yes.
Okay, so for the first question, how is the intervention taken, especially for the children that abandoned. So first of all, I would like to differentiate some Muhammadiyah child center. The one that I share with you, the story when they more take care of newborn and toddler. And mostly of these are abandoned babies. We also have Muhammadiyah Children Centers that more 7 until 15 or 17. So this is very different mechanism that we have. So maybe I would like to stick with our early childhood development. Definitely when we have a baby like that, this is a true story, but not a true name that I share in the video. We call a midwife to check the health because we want to make sure there's nothing wrong, as well as the local policeman, because this is a case that we have to report. And we also contact our social department from the government, and then we're making a record on this. So every children that we have in our Muhammadiyah Children Care are administration clear. The hardest thing is because just like Hannah's story, the baby in front of your door, how we can looking for it. Even we have CCTV, we following, we tracing. It's not easy to trace a case like this. That's why I underline why local community is so important, because then when we try to interview and then it's part of information from the local community, because they know who is pregnant surrounding the community. That's what I say. It's more like a detective working to find out where it is. But in the same time, we can't just deny. We have to take care of this baby. That's why in the institution, every time we working with our social department, the ministry, to make sure that this kid is monitored. And for me, as the national Muhammadiyah, we're also monitoring our Muhammadiyah children centers. All those 615, it's not in one location. They're all in over Indonesia. So we have to also working with our national government as well. We always saying like this is like we running the country by our own organization, which is true because we are older than our government itself. But we have to integrate it in line with them. For example, when there's like a trafficking case, it even harder because trafficking case is it related into international in-country relation. So we have to truly working with the government as well as our foreign ministers affair. But we have to take care of the kids, make sure they are get providing for their basic needs. But once again, the basic need is not just a shelter, just a food, but also love. We working with our university. Our university have a special faculty on social welfare. When all the students are volunteering their time to coming to our shelters, that's the way how we built our working network. We cannot stand alone by the Muhammadiyah Children Center itself to make sure that we provide the right care for the kids. We have to engage others as well. And then the second one, to sub-family separation, there is another story that I would like to share. When we already tried to facilitate, mitigate one children to be come back into her mother, but after like only a few months, 6 months, we closely monitoring. These children, 5 years old, she crying and she doesn't want to stay with her mother. That's because her mother's always going to work and leave her alone. So this is another step of intervention, maybe relate with Raju question on the kinship, yeah, on that case as well.
Okay, thank you for your questions. And regarding the mechanism of kinship care, in Nepal we have Children Act 2018 and National Children Policy are existing, but that is law. And from the civil society organization, we have created one loose network called Alternative Care Working Group, ACWG, Voice of Children, Forget Me Not, Himalayan Innovative Society, and other organizations are the member of that Alternative Care Working Group. And we have we are doing continue advocacy with the ministry for alternative care guideline, including kinship care. Up to now, we don't have a guideline. I mean, what is the implementing guideline? We don't have, but we are advocating through the Children Act and National Children Policy. Kinship care is a traditional practice since very beginning, and now we are doing to make kinship care legalized. That is our ongoing lobby and advocacy with the government through the Alternative Care Working Group. And another, up to now, how we select or choose the kinship family. For this, at first we work with the children and we identify the family, biological parents. If the biological parents not available, through the support of the children, and we identify the kinship care system or kinship family. But most of the local government, they have child light committee, and through the support of child light committee, we work with the kinship family and children. And another question was, how did the children come in drop-in center? In Nepal, there are children who are separated from the family, who lives in estate and work in the factories and other working areas. So with the support of Nepal police, and there is called Child and Lost Center, there is a committee, rescue committee, under the National Child Light Council. We coordinate with those rescue committee, and we rescue the children from different places and keep in the drop-in center as per the need of the children. For example, the children are from street, there is a separate center. The children are from the street and having some drug habit, there is another center. If the children, for the male or female children, there are separate center. We rescue the children from different situation. Thank you very much. I think I able to cover your query. If not, we are available here to
That's
discuss.
fine,
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Siti and Raju. Do we have any question? Yeah.
Hi, thank you everyone for your views. I am Rishad, I come from India. I had a question for Ms. Juanita on when you were covering about social protection. So a lot of times when we work with families and communities, particularly in India, we have seen there, with vulnerable children, the families are often migratory in nature. And especially to access social protection schemes, there are many actually. It's not that there is a dearth of schemes, but to access them, there is a big network of documentation and supporting evidence or social protection documents that are required. And often because the lack of that, families who can access them, they're not able to access them. So are there any best practices that you have identified or worked through and which can be replicated in different geographies, or which could be a good advocacy point that we can take up with local governments?
Thank you for that question. I think it brings us back to the reason why UNICEF is advocating for universal social protection. And we recognize that one of the main reasons why social protection programs are targeted is usually because of not enough resources to cover everybody. But a lot of the studies we've done, we've realized that the amount of administrative work to check the criteria, whether people are eligible, not eligible, create the systems, that's also a lot of administrative cost. So one thing that UNICEF tries to advocate for is categorical targeting across the life cycle. So, then target all children. If you cannot target all children, then target the critical moment. For example, start with early childhood, first 1,000 days, where also there's no access to schools or school meals or school feeding, where you might have alternative ways through the government is already providing care. So then it's much easier. One additional point that we try to do is, instead of targeting, let's say, the poorest, and it's very complicated. You have to go and you need to know how to register and what documents to bring, and you brought the wrong documents, so you have to go back, is then removing the top 20 or the top 30. Usually, the richest population is paying taxes. So it's much easier through the tax system to remove the top than to try targeting the poorest. So these are different mechanisms that we try to advocate for, and I think what we've seen across the region, Mongolia, for example, Thailand, what they started was with narrowly targeted programs. They ran impact evaluations, so the huge impact on the program, and started with that evidence. They were able to advocate for increased funding and increased allocations for the programs to be wider in their coverage, not only in age, but in terms of removing all the barriers and conditions to be part of the program. I hope this answers, but we can have a chat later.
Thank you. Thanks, Juanita. Swani, would you like to reflect on this? Yes? Yeah, that's fine. So I know, there could be a number of questions coming from audience, but we don't have much time. But I would definitely request you that there will be a QR code, and we would like to have your reflection that what you have felt about all these three different stories and circumstances that you have heard so far. We would like to hear from your side. And let us, just keep us as a kind of living moment for all of us, so that we can alive the hope, compassion, and our action can be moving forward. I would like to just thank everybody over here for your insight, the stories that you have shared, and also the questions that you have responded. And I'm going to be with all of you in the next session. Due to the time constraint, because we are running over, we have reduced the lunch time, and it will only for the 45 minutes. So I will invite all of you for lunch, and let's come back after 45 minutes, and we will continue with our session. Thank you. Thanks a lot.